Now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. Find out who the controllers of the financial system were and how that has all changed. The Financial System Explained, Part 3. What exactly is the currency of gold? It is a real game changer. A major agreement with Artemis expired late Friday night. How does this change the deep state's plans? Have you ever heard of the Starlight Foundation, the OITC, and the hidden side of the United Nations secret financial system? How does this tie to the deep state's plans? All this and more in today's report. Now here's Kimberly Gogan with the Office of the Guardian. Together again, Kim.
Together again. I know we have a lot to go over today, so I thought I would be here for that. I worked really hard to be here for that, guys. I'm telling you right now.
It's good to see you, Kim.
It's been a really long weekend. So I'm going to start with some things that started transpiring on Friday, and then I'm going to go into a little bit more of an explanation because there seems to be a lot of mass confusion out there as to who controls the financial system. Okay. So if you remember a few years ago, I did part 1 and part 2 of the controllers of the financial system. But it wasn't 100% complete at that time. Part of that is because there's a lot more information that's come to light since I did that a few years back. That's number 1. And number 2, I just automatically assumed that some of the deep state people, boy, I'm flashing really bad. Sorry about that.
We both are.
Always interference when I'm here.
No, keep going.
We're going to keep going anyway. Okay, so, because I don't think it's going to stop. I'll be lucky if I'm just going to make it through the end of this one. Mm-hmm. And that confusion has caused a lot of agreements to be made, a lot of governments to hang on there. Plus, in addition to that, if you remember a couple of years ago, we also put out there about all the assignments I did to governments, and that were 10-year assignments, not 12 years, which is what they're being told. And we're also going to tell you who is behind it all, because it finally just came to light as to who was trying to use these things, why they were trying to use them, and then their alleged control of the world. Or so they thought, anyway. So with the absence of Marduk, Enki, Enlil, and now the Red Queen, they thought that they could now do this. And there's a really good reason as to why they thought that. But what they didn't count on is that the original assignments and everything actually came from me. What they didn't count on is they were only 10-year assignments, and therefore their plan failed miserably. And they knew this person, I knew this person, they knew that they could never come back to me and ask me anything, because that was never, ever going to happen. But it all started coming to light over the last few days since about Friday evening, right after I recorded the news on Friday. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go back to something we talked about not that long ago, which was the 65-35 deal. Do you remember the 65-35 deal? Where the Order of the Black Sun and the Black Nobility, the Orsinis, Palavencinis, and now the new player in the game, they wanted 65% over the world, 65% control over the world, not just the financial system. And they offered the Order of the Dragon 35% control. Now, the reason why they came first, before this, apparently, the Order of the Black Sun and Ital thought that they could have 100% control with everything they quote-unquote had. The problem here is they had no ability to enter that fake money that was in the Mariana Trench into the banking system. That's the biggest problem. They thought that the people that were hindering them were the Federal Reserve and the Dragon families. So that's why they ended up making the 65-35 deal in the first place. Now, when nothing happened, because the families promised that they would then issue the allocations through the Federal Reserve on the 4th of July, because it used to happen that way. Now, we're going to show in just a few minutes here, but I've got to do a couple things first. So on the 4th of July was when I did the original assignments. And I think for some reason, these people thought I was going to do that again, because I've been getting a lot of phone calls over the last couple of days that have been weird behind the scenes. And I was getting the phone calls from an organization called the Office of International Treasury Control. And this is something that you can Google, and it looks like a heritage fund platform, that kind of thing. And they allegedly fall under the United Nations Office of International Treasury Control. So I'm getting phone calls from their trading platform. I'm getting phone calls from all these people wanting me. They said, you know, we're going to quote unquote help you move money into the system now. And you can put it in our global server, and then we'll see how it goes. We'll start small, and if it goes well, then, you know, we'll continue on with this deal. So this would be the second time that it was implied consent from me. Wow, this is flashing.
I know.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm telling you, for me to get through this one today will be a miracle unto itself, because there's going to be a lot of exposure, stuff you've never heard before in this video. But going backwards a little bit is going to help us tie it all together. So when I got all these phone calls, I'm like, why are these people calling me? And then there was a military meeting with the U.S. military that was supposed to take place, not with me, but with someone else on Friday night. That didn't end up happening. And it was like they were going to get me one way or the other to renew that, because they had discovered that the families could not issue allocation numbers. Major doubts started arising around that time. And the families fired back and said, well, you guys didn't get enough control over the financial system. See, I've been throwing out, this is what the families said, I've been throwing out some test transfers, you know, of allocations and numbers and real money, and you guys are just not catching it. Mm-hmm. But in reality, those transfers were being made by me. They were small, you know, $30,000, $5,000, $10, you know, varying amounts, probably 10 to 20 times a day, seeing what else I could find in there that was blocking us. And they felt that they had to make it so that they had me surrounded in the financial system so that I would be then forced to give them the allocation numbers or to go through them for allocation numbers. So this was the game we were playing. But they were not playing with a human technology. They were not playing with normal people such as the Order of the Dragon families. Mm-hmm. Perhaps that's what they were told at the time, that they allowed them to come in and place things in the Mariana Trench, which is level 5 of the web. But that is a lie. That was a full-on lie. The permission to do that ultimately had to come from something else that was around when the original agreement was made. Funny how I'm giving them information now, and I'm not flashing anymore. Isn't that great? So the party that actually gave the original, way behind the scenes authorization for them to place it there is no longer with us. However, everybody's fighting each other because of that financial video I did a couple of years ago, because they thought that was it.
Yeah.
Now, rumors going around on the internet. Rumors such as a big event is going to take place on July 15th. Now, it's there's going to be mass chaos. All these things are going to happen, possible assassinations of present and former presidents, and a lot of different things were going to allegedly take place. But if you remember, every single thing that they say is based on their success. So the fighting that was ensuing in this alleged possible event also correlates with the expiration of the Federal Reserve's agreement with governments worldwide to issue currency on their behalf and to control their currencies worldwide that expired in 2012. It was July 15th, 2012, when that agreement expired. Now, you could say on a technical detail that based on the assignments that I did back at that time, that yes, that they probably extended the agreement by default for another 10 years, because those assignments were only good for 10 years. I will repeat it, 10 years, which would then bring us to 2022. No exceptions here. But the alleged fine gentleman, we're going to call him a fine gentleman, and fine, you can, maybe F stands for a four-letter word, and I stands for something else, and maybe N does too. But regardless of that, the world was a different place at that time. And he is the one that gave them an extension after an extension. And that he did not have the power to do. There was no ratification of those extensions, and everything they were doing to try to make this happen was all being done offline. Offline derivatives, offline securities, until it was no more.